What's going on, you guys? Theo here with the big review, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video. So as promised, we are going to do a quick intro to today's video, and we are going to be giving you guys the details on how you can enter to win either a Google Play or a Apple gift card, whichever one you choose. The way you're going to enter this, rules will be on the screen, but first and foremost, you must be subscribed because this is a subscriber-only giveaway, so if you have not already done so, make sure that you do. The next thing that I need is for you to post a comment on this video. None of my other videos are going to count. It has to be a comment on this video for my own sanity. That way I can keep all of these entries straight, because it will be given away to one random winner, and I want to make sure everybody who has all the valid entries is counted. So make sure that you comment in the comment section what your preferred platform is, whether it is Apple or Android. That'll be how you enter this giveaway. You're going to have until the end of the week to enter, and then we will do the giveaway next week. Now, as far as anything else, I have promised you guys for a while that we were going to be launching a Discord for the channel, and it is pretty much finished. So I'm going to have the official launch day today. I have the link in the description of this video, so it's somewhere down there somewhere, but you can officially enter the Discord. It is in a bit of a beta phase right now, so bear with me. If you guys have suggestions, feel free to shoot those to me, but for now, there are several things that we are working on in there in the background that will hopefully make it a very stellar community for all of you guys. So without further ado, this video is already going to be long because there's so much we need to go over. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew the information on all of this. But again, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section and subscribe. Let me know what your preferred platform is, Android or iOS. That way I can make sure that you get entered into the giveaway. Drawing will be done on Sunday, and then Monday I will probably be announcing the winner. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the video. There's not going to be a lot of detail as far as my own personal opinions on what happened on the Korean live stream, because there's so much I need to talk about and go over. So I'm just going to save that for later when we have all of the full translations. But enjoy the video. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace. What is going on, you guys? Theo here with the big review, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and today we are going to be bringing you the full recap for the Korean live stream that ended this morning before we get into the global live stream later on this evening. But before we get into all that, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Now, as I had mentioned, I am not going to be getting into my own personal thoughts on this. I am all business today because we have so much to go over. I want to make sure that I just present as much as I can to you guys in a factual manner. That, and I do not feel like it would be proper for me to give my full opinions on all of these things, just in case these translations are a little bit off. We're expecting these to be pretty spot on, but like I said, I want to make sure before I give you guys my full opinions that I have all the right information in front of me. But the live stream started out with the question and answers for the development team, and we're going to go into a few things that were said here. Now, first and foremost, for those of you expecting a collab, they did mention things about the collab and said that there is a collab on the way. However, there is no confirmation of a time frame on that. So at this point, what I would suggest to you guys is my best guess is basically what I have said in the past, which is don't expect a collab until sometime in March is what I am expecting. However, they did not give any concrete information on a date for that. Now, as far as everything else they talked about in here, because there was quite a bit to go over. First and foremost, you guys should be aware that they had a lot of good news on this. Basically, we know now that they are not, and I repeat, not planning on using the Awakening level 10 as a way to kind of power creep the game. That has been ruled out, especially at least for this year, according to what they said. We will not be seeing Awakening level 10 in 2021, and the development team, they said, are very skeptical as to whether or not they feel like it would be a good idea, and therefore it does not sound like it is going to be happening. We can all rejoice that is not going to be happening. Now, as far as other things that were mentioned, the Epic Quest installment for the second chapter will not be happening until August, which is what they plan for the next anniversary event. There will not be Epic Quest until August. Now, things that they are planning in the very near future are going to be the new story mode that will be coming out in Q1, so we can expect that probably here in the next couple of months. And then as far as anything else that was mentioned, they did confirm that they are also going to be raising the level cap from 400 around the exact same time in August with the anniversary update, so the level cap will be getting raised in August at some point. So those two things, both Epic Quest and the level cap increase for accounts, is going to be raised, and both of those will be due in August. Now, the next thing that they talked about is they mentioned the fact that they are working on fixes for PvP, and they are testing those as we speak. Now, one big thing that they did mention about PvP in regards to that, they do not have any plans to reintroduce rubies into the prize pool. So that is something that they are not planning. Next thing that they talked about is they talked about the boss syndrome characters, and in particular about reruns and whether or not they are going to get balanced, because some people feel they are overpowered. They planned for these characters to be overpowered according to what they said, and they are not planning on any re-releases as of right now. However, that could always change. So to kind of recap that, they plan for these guys to be OP, meaning Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal and Boss Syndrome Orochi, and they are not planning on rerunning them anytime right now in the future. However, again, that can always change down the road. Other small tidbits of information that were thrown in here is they are considering allowing fighters to change their account name, so that is something that is under consideration. And then another point that they made is they are working on banning any people who are abusing the terms of service or using hacks or cheats to kind of exploit the game as well. We've heard this in the past, so we'll have to wait and see on that, but they apparently have decided that they are finally going to start banning these people. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all that, but that is pretty much the information from the Q&A, guys. Now, again, there could have been more information in there. However, this was as much as we were able to gather from what was said. However, there is a lot more to this stream, and there is a lot going on as far as updates coming our way on the 25th. So let's go ahead and segue into some of that stuff and get started there. Alright, so the next bit of information that we have, it pertains to two characters that are going to be getting buffs with this update. So this will be part of the 225 update, and the two characters being buffed are going to be Lady Chang as well as Lady Zero clone. So let's go ahead and go through these, but again, do keep in mind that these are rough translations. These are subject to change. So with Lady Chang, on her S1, she is, upon attack, resets her S3, and that has a 70% chance upon use and increases attack by 42% of her defense. Next up, on her S2, it looks like she is getting hyper armor, and then on her S3 she is getting lightning added and an increase to her defense by 35% for 10 seconds. So for Lady Chang, those are going to be some pretty big buffs. Again, I'm not going to get into all of my opinions on all this stuff until we have 100% confirmation on these things, but those are looking pretty strong for her. Now, moving on to the next character, which is of course going to be Lady Clone Zero. So as far as her buffs go, it looks like on her S1 she is now going to increase her attack by 28% for 7 seconds, and on her S2 she will now have damage immunity for 3 seconds, and then on her S3 she is going to have an interrupt only while standing. So those are going to be the buffs given to both of these characters, both Lady Chang and Lady Clone Zero. Another detail that was mentioned in this stream is the fact that, and we have kind of differing translations on this, it could have been me misspeaking or King Oppa misspeaking, but they did mention that we will be getting a roulette for Lady Chang with this update. However, then they also said we would be getting a roulette for Lady Clone Zero. So I'm assuming it will be for Lady Chang, not for Lady Clone Zero. However, that could be wrong, so take that part with a pinch of salt. We will be getting a FES roulette for one of those two characters, but being that they gave us kind of mixed information there, it's hard to confirm one way or the other which of those is going to be true. But I would go with Lady Chang on this one, considering the fact that she was mentioned as a roulette more often than Lady Zero, who had been mentioned just the one time. But that is going to be the information for the buffs. Again, these things will be happening with the 225 update in the next few days, but let's go ahead and move on to the real showstopper here, or at least the most controversial topic, and that is going to be these new characters and this new banner that we will be getting with this update. Now, the TLDR on what is going on with this banner is going to be called the Special Select banner, and it is going to feature both Athena 13 and the FES Mai that we have been promised for quite a while now. And it is looking like there is also going to be a card banner where you are going to be able to get the new finishers for both of these characters, as well as a new set card and then a new option card. All of these translations we will have for you guys coming up, but I wanted to make sure that I preface it with telling you guys that we don't have a lot of information on how these banners are going to operate, nor how long they'll be around, and these translations are subject to change. But again, thanks to Steven for these translations. Now let's go ahead and look at the first character, which is going to be FES Mai. So as you can see here, FES Mai is going to be a red attack character with a leadership skill increasing the attack of female fighters by 60% and decreasing their HP by 5%. When you get into her cores, on her core 1, she's going to increase her PG gain by 30%, her HP by 6,300, she has an attack increase by 1050, a burn attack increase by 15%, a strike skill damage increase by 8%, a penetration increase by 256, she is immune to freeze, and has a 50% chance to reset her cooldown of all of her strike skills upon successfully landing her S3. Next up, she has burn immunity, and a 50% extra damage increase of all of her active skills upon landing them on a burned opponent. Then finally, on her SS core, which is the exclusive core that she will have in common with Athena, who we'll get to next, but her SS core reads charge PG by 1% every 0.3 seconds while guarding, and if hit 5 times or more, including guard, 70% damage reduction for 3 seconds. So that is going to be the SS exclusive core there. It looks like they are going to charge their PG while in guard. So next up, let's take a look at the attack skills and what those do. But do keep in mind that Knee did not go into full detail. As you'll see there on the S1, there's a little eye that indicates that there is more to that effect, so he did not click on it. Now, we do not know all of the information on her S1, but again, these are all subject to change anyway, so let's get into them. Her S1 is going to inflict damage equal to 734% of attack. It also gives her hyper armor for 3 seconds and deals burn damage equal to 34% of attack for 7 seconds, and that's where it cuts off. Next up, on her S2, she's going to inflict damage equal to 745% of attack, increase attack by 35% for 6 seconds upon using, and inflict infernal flame damage, which is going to be lasting for 6 seconds and deals 30% of attack decrease to critical rate of opponent by 80% and decreases the opponent's defense by 30%. So again, rough translations, but that's what we're looking at on the S2. On her S3, she's going to inflict damage equal to 714% of attack with a 70% damage reduction for 3 seconds upon using it, and upon landing it, she's going to have a 28% attack increase for 7 seconds and decrease the PG gain of the opponent by 50% with a 70% chance to break the opponent's guard. So that is going to be all of Mai's abilities and cores. Again, I hate to keep saying it, but it bears repeating. These are rough translations. However, as you can tell, it's looking like she's going to be pretty strong, and overall, this should be pretty exciting to a lot of people. I know Mai has a huge fan base. This was the character that was voted on by the community. For the first time ever, a character was voted on by the community to get a FES variant, and of course Mai was the winner of that. And as you can see here with her skills, her S1 is a pretty quick and pretty interesting attack, but the S3 is the one that really gets me because that's the one that is going to be throwing all those projectile fans out there. So that one is pretty cool. And that, of course, is the one that has the chance to break opponent's guard. It's looking like she is going to have access to all of the finishers that are currently in the game, and then she will have a new finisher added as well. And they did go through all of these, unfortunately, so you're going to have to bear with the footage here, but they did go through every single one of these. Now, as you'll see here, it's looking like the SS characters are going to have kind of an exclusive animation to them where they have those little white orbs or little yellow orbs, whatever you want to call them, floating around them. So that's pretty interesting, I guess. That's a way to kind of denote that they are SS characters. And Again, I'm not going to try and get into too much of my opinion on what we're looking at with these SS characters as it is now, because again, we don't have a lot of information. If it's exactly the same as the BS banners, at least the memories shouldn't be too tough to come by, but it does further put a nail in the coffin of the unified banner now. It's looking like they're trying more and more to get away from the unified banner, which basically at this point means that you're going to want to just kind of focus on that banner with tokens and avoid it with any of your rubies at this point, unless it's a character that you just can't miss. But yeah, that's going to be FES Mai in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to talk about Athena next and take a look at some rough translations for her skills. Alrighty, you guys, so taking a look at SS Athena here, you're going to see she is a purple defense with a leadership skill that increases the attack of purple fighters by 45% and increases their PG gain by 20%. And then on her core, she's going to reduce freeze time by 60%, have a critical hit rate increase by 2.4%, an attack increase by 1050, a strike skill damage reduction by 6%, a strike skill damage increase by 8%, and a defense increase by 1520. Next up, she has a 70% chance to reset the cooldown of her S1 upon landing an S2, and that has a 15-second cooldown. Then she has 100% extra damage of her attack when landing a hit upon an opponent in Starlight, and then a 4 seconds of damage immunity if hit by opponents in Starlight with a 15-second cooldown. Next up, she has the SS core, which is the same as Mai as we spoke about earlier, which is obviously going to be the guard stance, PG, charge, and then the damage reduction. So on her skills, on her S1, she's going to inflict damage equal to 771% of attack upon landing a hit, and then inflict some sort of superior version of Starlight, which we don't have a full translation of, but it's looking like it's going to be akin to Infernal Flame, and what that is to burn, this will be to Starlight. So it's basically going to be the superior Starlight dot, but that is going to last for 6 seconds, and it is going to inflict Starlight equal to 35% of her attack, and reduce damage by 22%, and then increase her attack by 46% of her defense for 8 seconds. Next up, on her S2, she's going to inflict damage equal to 744% of attack, and increase attack by 35% for 5 seconds, and have damage reduction by 75% for 3 seconds upon using it. So that is going to be her S2. Now, next up, moving on to her S3. That is going to inflict damage equal to 722% of attack and have hyper armor for 3 seconds with a 50% chance to reset the cooldown, and it can be used while getting hit, so it is an interrupt. And then finally, she has a finisher effect that is inflicting Starlight damage for 7 seconds. So that is going to be Athena. Now, next up, they move into talking about her actual skills and showing those off. And we already had kind of seen some of these in previous data mines, but again, I am impressed by this S1 and the speed on this projectile. It's kind of funny to watch it, but as you'll see, she jumps backward, throws the ball out there, and she gives Starlight. So this is going to be kind of the chase character on this banner, I can already tell, being that Starlight is such a new ability and so few people have access to it yet at this point, especially characters that have a really good ability to deal Starlight damage for things like Lunatic Guild Raid. This is going to be a very sought after character. She's also a fan favorite, so I'm definitely imagining a lot of people are going to be pretty torn on this banner, but at the same time, thankfully, it doesn't appear as if there's necessarily a spoiler on this banner. Both these characters look very, very strong overall. And as you'll see here as well, this character is going to have a new finisher, which they will get to. We had shown an asset of this finisher the other day, if you guys did not see that video, but basically it is going to be her Phoenix finisher, which is going to be shown here momentarily, but it's pretty interesting overall. I mean, it's going to be one of those things where I feel like some of these other finishers, even though they're probably not going to be as preferred because they're going to be 5 PGs and not 3 PGs, but for the length of them, they may be finishers that you may want to look at in PvE. I'm not even going to try and speculate at this point because we don't have the full information on her at this point. All we know is she looks very, very strong and has Starlight, so those things alone are going to get people hype. But as you'll see here, this is going to be the new finisher that she has that they're about to show you. And it's pretty cool looking overall. Like I said, this is going to be the one that we showed the asset for, but a decently long animation. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a 3PG, so that'll be something that a lot of people are going to want. But of course, the card banner, which we're about to get into, talking about what else is in there, is going to be pretty popular in general. So you shouldn't have any trouble deciding whether or not you want to go for them, because it's looking like the set card as well as the option cards are going to be pretty strong. So yeah, that is going to be the SS characters again, coming with the 225 update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, but let's go ahead and move on and talk about the cards. Alrighty, so as you can see here, guys, this is going to be the new set card that is going to come with this update for the SS characters, and it is going to increase the attack by 50% of defense and have a 30% chance of extra damage equal to 180% of defense upon landing an active skill, and then have damage reduction by 60% when the HP drops below 20%. Overall, that is looking like a complete upgrade over Kaya, and very, very powerful for defense type characters with defense to attack conversion. Yeah, that is pretty powerful. A lot of people are going to be going for that set card, and I definitely see it making waves in not only PvE but PvP. Now, moving on to the option card, we don't have all the information on this one quite yet, unfortunately. But it's going to increase the attack by a X percentage, which we do not know what that percentage is yet, of defense, and then it is going to have skill cooldown decrease, again with no number. So we don't have a lot of information, as you can see there. They didn't give the full details on that card, but those are the things that we're looking at as far as the kind of skeleton of this card. Now, moving on, thankfully, to the final part of this update is going to be PvE co-op. So PvE co-op dungeon is going to be added in, and they did do a demonstration of it. You'll be able to see it here. And as we had already kind of talked about in the past when they had done the dev note on this, it is going to be a 3v1 boss dungeon where you can invite 2 other friends. Each of you will have 1 character apiece, and then you go in and you try to take down not only these mobs, but then the boss, which they will be showing here momentarily. Luckily, this does not look like it is going to be too difficult to finish. It's looking like this is actually fairly easy to get through. They did not show the rewards for this, nor did they talk about them, so we do not have confirmation on what you'll be getting for clearing this. But as you can see here, you'll be able to tell once they get to the boss, they get through it pretty easily. It's not going to be too difficult, even with level 1 awakening characters. So overall, this shouldn't be anything that should hold people up overall, and should be inclusive to most players, no matter where they're at in the game. But one last thing that they did mention is the Korean side will be getting a summon token for the SS banner for both the fighters and the cards. We'll find out tonight, I'm sure, from Travis whether or not that will translate over to global. But to summarize, guys, the 225 update will have a roulette for probably Lady Chang, but possibly Lady Clone Zero, as well as the buffs to both of those characters. PvE co-op dungeon, the SS card and SS fighter banner featuring Athena 13 and Mai, and that is pretty much what we are looking at in a nutshell with this update. Again, there could be more. Some of these translations could be a tad bit off, but thank you so much to Steven for giving me live updates as this went on and translating all of this for you guys. Shout out to Steven, you're awesome. If you guys have not already done so, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you need to know anything else about this, let me know in the comment section. I will try to answer your questions, but make sure that you comment letting me know whether you prefer Android or iOS and you are subscribed, so that way you can enter into the giveaway for the gift card. And I am going to get out of here. We'll be doing a future video to give you guys my full opinions on these things, but I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See you after the credits. Peace.
Continue.
So, about my free summon for the day. Yeah, I guess better late than never, huh, Mian? Yeah, that was my free summon for the day, so I guess we're awakening her. Still don't have the card. Definitely probably not getting the card, but we have her. Cool.